Alright, so I just did a video on this grid, and I wanted to show you that the last video was explaining why I think this approach is better, so go watch that if you haven't. But now I want to show you how you can get complex with this grid. So you may be thinking, okay, well, the last video you did really simple stuff, you didn't have a lot of code because you didn't do anything hard. Well, this case actually has concatenated first and last names together, okay? So these are complex queries happening, and let me show you how that's done. And here's that same reports file. It's still really small. Here's what I did. You take the joins and you create an array. Right now I'm only having one join, so there's only one element in the array. Okay, so I'm creating my join right here, just like you normally would if you were doing the join, whatever. Then you add a complex field. Okay, and this is just, I'm going to say, okay, my key is going to be name. Okay, that's my as. Okay, it's going to be basically this as that. Okay, so I'm just writing out the part of the query here that I want, and it's going to be as this name. Now that corresponds back on my PHP page. I've changed this from user ID. So right before it was user ID, right? So that's what it was before, and there's my user ID. And then what I'm going to do is call it name. Okay, and in this case, name doesn't exist in the database. It's a complex query. So again, in my call, all I'm doing is feeding it the appropriate join and telling it appropriately what the complex field is. And now when I do that, I get this, and it's even searchable. So I can type in my name, Sean Clark, and hit enter, and it actually searches the database for that. It's really intelligent. Let me show you quickly how that happened. I just wrote this. It wasn't part of it a second ago. But if I go to my grid PHP, so what it does is it takes in now joins and fields. It takes in the fields now, and it goes through the fields, and if there are fields to set, okay, and I've commented each part. Basically, we're going to find the column. We're going to replace. Imagine here. Actually, this is a great way to look at it. Imagine this list right here, and it was right here. This is what it was, okay? This is the array that comes in as a comma list. Name doesn't exist. This would throw an error. So all I'm doing is going through, finding name, and replacing it with my complex query, and I'm adding the as name. And now it's correct syntax. So you can see right here I'm adding the as whatever. Now there's a difference here. I need one more array of the exact same thing, only without the as. And that's because in the where statement down here, you can't have name here, okay? And you can't have, so if you didn't replace it, it would be name, and this is incorrect. You have to use the concat, but you can't have the as name here. That's incorrect syntax. So it figures all that out for you. It just does it, and that's why there's two arrays there. It brings these back together to a comma list. It separates it out. It uses the array here, and now it's a comma list, and then it just puts it right in here as it was, and uses the query as it was, and does everything else exactly the same. And that's how you do complex queries with this. I also wanted to show you how easy it is to add a second grid. So I've got this grid. Let's pull up this. If I want a second grid, all I've got to do is take that. Let's add some line breaks in here, and there it is. Boom. Second grid, and they are all independent of each other. And say I want to have a new field, like let's go over here and say, okay, let's get payer email. I don't want to give people that. Let's give the fee. Okay, we're going to get the fee. So there's a fee, and let's just say, okay, well, instead of order type, we'll just have the fee there, and we'll just say fee, save, refresh, and now I've got the fee as a column, and it's searchable, and it's just that easy to use this grid. So I'm just reiterating that not only is this a simple grid, but you can do complex joins, complex select statements, and you can switch out the grids and use them left and right as much as you want.